In this program, I'm going to demonstrate accumulating a sum or accumulating a total. This is very common to do in programming if you have to add up a group of numbers, if you have to find out the average of a group of numbers. So it's really very important that you understand how to do it. In this case, when I click on my Enter Sales button, it's going to ask the user how many days they have sales for. And then I'm going to set up a loop that's going to go through that many times. As it goes through the loop, it'll prompt the user to enter the number of sales for each individual day, and when it's finished, I'll take that total amount and put it right here in a label called LBL Total. So let me take a look at my code. I just want to talk about the variables that I have. I have int count, which is going to be a loop counter to keep track of how many times I go through the loop. Int number of days is going to be entered by the user. They're going to tell me how many days they have sales for. Des sales is where I'm going to hold each day's sales amount, and des total is where I'm going to hold the total. I have the code down here commented out because I only have 5 minutes for a Jing, so I don't have time to type it all. So I'm going to just start here with this very first statement, which is where I'm going to prompt the user to enter in the number of days they have sales for using an input box. Now note, if I use an input box, it returns a string. So you can see what I did here is this returns a string, and I called the cint function to take this string, convert it to an integer, and store it back in my integer variable for the number of days. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a do while loop that goes through the loop that many times. So I'm going to say do while. I'm going to use my int count is less than or equal to my int num days. Right? And you'll see it puts loop out there for you automatically. Okay? So now what I'm going to do inside this loop is I'm actually going to ask for the sales for one day. I'm going to add that to my total, and I'm going to increment my loop counter. Okay? So I'm going to prompt the user first to enter the sales for a certain day. So I'm going to say enter the sales for day, and here I'm going to be using my counter. So the first time through the loop it'll say day 1, the second time it'll say day 2, etc., etc. Okay. Then I'm going to, this is where we accumulate the sum. Okay. We're going to take our sales amount right here and we're going to add it into our total. So remember the plus equal operator. That's the same as saying des total equals des total plus des sales. Okay. Now this total has to start at 0. So the first time through the loop it'll be 0 plus the sales amount. Then it'll be the new sales amount plus, the total, and it just keeps accumulating in that fashion. And then finally, we need to increment our loop counter. Otherwise, we'll have an infinite loop. Okay. The last step, when we're all finished, is I want to take that total that we've added up right here and put it back in my label. So I'm going to run this. Right. Enter sales. I'll put it in 3. And I'll just pick some numbers, 100, 200, 300, and you can see right here my total sales is 600. Okay, so this is accumulating a sum, and in my example I'm using a do while loop.